Hello and welcome back to another episode of Football Heritage, here with your host, Stephen Clark. So today's going to be the first of our Premier League match week reviews. So really exciting stuff here for the channel and for the Premier League, which is kicked off in great fashion with an extraordinary opening weekend. I think we can all agree that there were some truly remarkable results across the board and some really good starts for a lot of the front runners for the Premier League this season, and a couple really surprising upsets as well in that regard. So there's a lot to get into, and chiefly I also want to mention just that at the top here that at the end of this video I'll be revealing my strategy for my long-term Player of the Season award here on Football Heritage. So basically how work is that every week I'm going to choose 11 players that I feel have had the best game week of that week, and essentially I'm going to rank them from obviously like 11th best of that week to the best player that week. The bottom three will get 1 point. The next two will get 2 points. The next two after that will get 2 points. The next two after that will get 2 points, and then finally, the two top places will get 5 points. So it'll be 5 point, 5 point, 4 point, 4 point, 3 point, 3 point, 2 point, 2 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, if that's making sense. I think it'll make more sense at the end when we get there, so don't worry about that. Great, so yeah, we should start things off by talking about the first game of the weekend, which was Brentford versus Arsenal. Now, I predicted Brentford to have a good season this year, so I was really, really happy with kind of my decision there. But personally, I did expect Arsenal to win this game, but with Aubameyang and Lacazette out, it did seem like Arsenal just kind of lacked that attacking impetus, and were actually quite negative throughout the game in terms of, their most of their chances came from counter attacks, and Brentford were really the team making these sort of inroads in the first in the first section of the game. Great to see Serge Aurier start the season on a high, and Mbeumo as well, two players who I mentioned in the season preview. I thought were going to have good seasons, so this week might look like a little bit of a genius. But also, that being said, I did predict Arsenal to do pretty well this season as well, respectively. So 50-50 with that one. But yeah, really great win for Brentford, and we'll have to keep an eye on what they can do this season. Now, probably the sort of performance of maybe the weekend was Manchester United versus Leeds, where Manchester United rolled out 5-1 winners at home. It was an interesting game because Manchester United and Leeds obviously have a famous rivalry, and having the fans there was really great to see. Unfortunately, from a Leeds point of view, that's probably all that they really got out of the game. There was one period where they came back into it, and they got the goal quickly right after half time. But Manchester United responded so well, and honestly, in that second half, I think they might have proved a lot of doubters about their title challenge wrong, because I do think now that they are set for a serious title challenge, specifically with the performances of the likes of Mason Greenwood, Paul Pogba with 4 assists, and Bruno Fernandes with his hat-trick, of course, as well. So with Jadon Sancho still to enter the team from the start of the game, and Rafael Varane to come into this team as well, they seriously do look like a scary outfit this season. Other games probably worth briefly mentioning, Burnley and Brighton. There was a really good comeback from Brighton there, so they've probably proved the XG fanatics right there. Finally, something's gone their way. Neil Maupay opened the scoring for Brighton there, so big things to come from him this season, I think. Based off his bit of a down season last season, he should be fully motivated to turn things around this season. There were also some other turnarounds in the this week, with Everton turning around a 1-goal deficit to Southampton, and just generally kind of looking fairly solid. And it was a good opening for Everton, and a solid fight from Southampton. And maybe the 3-1 score is a little unlucky in the end, given how well they played in that first half. Leicester and Jamie Vardy are off to a winning start against Wolves, who's sort of still finding their feet under their new manager. But Brendan Rodgers' Leicester is a very canny side, and Jamie Vardy maybe just proving a few of those doubters wrong. Last season he didn't end his season in the best of ways, but you can always trust in Jamie Vardy to to prove people wrong. He's been doing that his entire career, and most likely he won't stop now. Watford, one of the surprise results of the weekend for sure, with the performance of Emmanuel Adebayor, really lighting up their first game of the season against Aston Villa, who, myself included, and a lot of more established football sort of opinionists and analytical minds thought that because of the business done by Aston Villa, that they would sort of start the season quite well and have a really good season overall. But it hasn't started well for them. With a 3-2 loss to Watford, they proved that they are capable of scoring goals, with Ings scoring late and McGinn scoring a really beautiful first-time volleyed finish, but not the start that Villa had in mind. But Cisco and this Watford side perhaps ready to prove people wrong this season. We'll have to wait and see. Disappointing start for Norwich. Getting Liverpool on the opening day was always seemingly an unlikely and insurmountable odd for Norwich. And Liverpool looked excellent. Mohamed Salah having a hand in all 3 of the goals. I think that people that have written Liverpool off for the title this season are extremely silly. So we'll have to see what they can do. Probably the maybe upset of the weekend was the Harry Kane derby between Tottenham and Manchester City. Tottenham running out 1-0 winners in that game, defending really well and utilising that specific counter-attack that we know that Manchester City can be so susceptible to when they aren't on the top of their game. Next, we'll move to my team, Chelsea. So we won 3-0 against Crystal Palace, and the score did make it look a bit more routine than it was. Palace weren't bad, but certainly Chelsea were deserved winners in that game, with the goal from Trevor Chalobah, which was just one of the moments of the weekend. The Chelsea youngster who watched his brother play for Chelsea and win a league, was able to prove everyone wrong and get in the side for the first week of the season and just score an absolute cracker on his Premier League debut. It's certainly something that a lot of Chelsea fans are not going to forget anytime soon. And with Lukaku still to come into this side against Arsenal next weekend, most likely, I think Chelsea fans can be assured that that all the discussion pre-season about us having a title challenge isn't just talk. I think we really mean business this season. And for me, the last game of the weekend that I haven't talked about yet was probably the game of the weekend, and I did do a live stream to it. So if you're interested, definitely go check that out. And that is, of course, Newcastle 2, West Ham 4. So I kind of went into this game, thinking it might be a good opportunity to kind of look at a few names that I was interested to see how they would come into the season. There's been a lot of talk about John Joe Shelby's fitness. Alan SaintMaximin, I think, is ready for a great season and proved it in this opening game week. Said Benrahma, I think, is ready to really explode in this league and proved it again this weekend. So yeah, it was just an excellent game. It was a lot of back and forth. There were times where Newcastle looked like they were going to dominate the game. At halftime, Newcastle took a 2-1 lead into the break, and West Ham came out all guns firing in that second half with a lot of good performances from the likes of Thomas Soucek, Sofiane Koufal, Declan Rice, Said Benrahma, Mikel Antonio, Jared Bowen. This West Ham side looking really, really on point at the moment, and I think that based on the mental fortitude to come back in that game, I think we are going to see an incredibly interesting West Ham side this season. And I think they'll be a big threat in Europe as well. So keep an eye on West Ham this season. Definitely ones not to keep your eye off. So that was my match of the weekend. We will now move into my players of the weekend. So like I mentioned, I choose 11 players every week, and I have a running points tally throughout the season, with the bottom 3 of the 11 getting 1 point each. Then the next 2 getting 2 points, the next 2 getting 3 points, the next 2 getting 4 points, and then the top 2 players getting 5 points. And yeah, like I said, this will run throughout the entire season, and I'm going to keep an Excel spreadsheet here on my computer and track who I feel each week has been the best players, and then ultimately that'll help me decide who has been the best player of the season. So it should be really exciting to keep track of. There'll be kind of a bit of a mini race going on, I'm sure, in a few weeks between some of the league's best players. When players miss out, it's going to hurt them a lot in this ranking system. If they miss a game due to injury or if they get rested. So definitely keep an eye on it, because it could produce a sort of a bit of a unique player of the season. So starting things off, in bottom place this weekend. When I say bottom place, I mean bottom of the top 11 players. So 11th best player this weekend I had as Alan SaintMaximin from Newcastle. So like I mentioned in his game, he was really, really electric. He was picking up the ball at all times and he was just roasting West Ham defenders. He was turning them inside out time and time again. Got a really good assist to open the goal scoring for Callum Wilson really early on, where he had Declan Rice on toast, to be honest. And yeah, throughout the game, he was just picking up the ball, had a lot of really attacking possessive carries in the game, and it just looked like he could really explode. He did teeter off just towards the end of the game, which is probably why he isn't as high as some of the other players on this list. But a really promising start from SaintMaximin, and I hope he can keep it up. And if you can, Newcastle definitely have a talisman in Alan SaintMaximin. Nextly, I had in 10th place Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood had an excellent first half in the game, and in the second half, probably slipped out of mind just ever so slightly, despite scoring an absolutely amazing goal to give Manchester United the lead, and probably the most crucial goal in that game in the second half. But I mean, the kid's class. He can finish from pretty much anywhere on the pitch. He's got a really good game intelligence, and he was breaking the lines consistently. And I think that I've predicted Edison Cavani to have a really good season for Manchester United, but maybe I've completely underrated Mason Greenwood getting the nod in a lot of these opening games for the season. Really exciting season coming up for Mason Greenwood, I would suspect. Next, I had Heung-min Son, so scored the winning goal against Manchester City in the surprise opening win for Tottenham Hotspur. And just generally looked really good. He was kind of leading the Tottenham counterattacks time after time, and relentlessly, putting his body on the line, and just wouldn't stop running the entire game. He was setting up opportunities as well. He set one up for Steven Bergwijn that he should have scored. So really good performance from Heung-min Son, and it must get people thinking about if Harry Kane does go, maybe the striker replacement is already there and they can spend the money in fortifying other areas. Awesome. So now into 8th place for the week was Sergi Canos, who's picking up 2 points in my ranking system. Sergi Canos had a really great start, like I mentioned off the top of the video. Scored a goal, had a great moment where he celebrated with a young disabled fan, which was amazing to see. And just overall looked super classy, and he is, I think, going to be one to watch for this season, absolutely. Next, moving up to position 7 in this list with 2 points as well, is Japhet Tanganga. Now, Japhet Tanganga is someone who's kind of was left out in the cold a little bit, specifically by Mourinho towards the end of his tenure at the club. But he definitely has had a lot of promising moments for the club, and I think that now maybe this might be the way forward for Tottenham to play with Japhet Tanganga, because he looks super astute, he's strong, he's big, he's pretty smart. You trust him in a tackle. So I think that Japhet Tanganga had a really great game, and lots looking forward to seeing what he brings later into the season. Next on my list with 3 points will be Trevor Chalobah, the Chelsea boy who scored on debut and just generally all round didn't look out of place whatsoever. I think that he brought something really interesting with his height and his aerial presence as well to that Chelsea backline. He didn't get dribble pass at all during the game, and he's looked more and more mature every game that goes by from pre-season to now the start of the season. So excellent start for Trevor Chalobah, and he rightfully makes the list here. Best player on the pitch in that game. Next, I have Emmanuel Dennis with 3 points as well. So Emmanuel Dennis coming to Watford this season was a bit of a wild card. There was sort of talk about whether he was going to play well with Ismail Assar, whether they could forge a good connection, and based off the first weekend, absolutely they can. Emmanuel Dennis had a really great game where he got a goal and an assist, and he was part of one of the shock upsets of the week. Super effective, and if Watford are going to stay up, they're going to need players like Dennis to keep affecting the scoreboard, and if you can get a goal and assist in a game and make that a regular thing, Dennis will be a huge hit there at Watford. Now moving on to the 4-point players, we have Mohamed Salah, of course. Really unlucky probably not to be in the 5-point category here, because he scored a goal and he got 2 assists. Just was easily Liverpool's best player. He's just so relentless now. What can you say about Mohamed Salah? He's proved every single doubter wrong that thought he was a one-season wonder, or he just scores goals, or there's nothing you can really say to diminish Mohamed Salah's game. At this point, he's a bona fide Premier League legend for Liverpool, and if he keeps scoring at the goal rate that he's scoring at, it's unprecedented. He scores at a higher rate than Harry Kane, so that just goes to show how important he is for this Liverpool side, and I have no doubt he'll be right up the top of my rankings as the season progresses further. In 3rd place, I had Said Benrahma. Now, the reason I had Said Benrahma just above Mohamed Salah here was just the way that he just absolutely took the game on in that second half. He was just calling for the ball whenever he had the opportunity. He was taking players on. He kind of had that all-round performance where, he was defending, he was getting up with the attack, he was taking shots, he was making things happen, creating chances, winning fouls as well. He just had an awesome game, and he's really justified starting in that central attacking midfield position. But really, he was just playing everywhere on the pitch. So great start for him, a goal and an assist. And can he be West Ham's talisman this season? I think so. Now, moving on to the 5-point players. In 2nd place, I have Paul Pogba with 4 assists. And if you did watch that game, you'll know it wasn't just, he got lucky or something. About 3 of them were long Hollywood passes that only someone like Paul Pogba has the vision to complete. When we get this version of Paul Pogba, he truly is one of the most elite players in the Premier League. Manchester United fans, you got to tell me, but I think that if he can deliver this on a consistent basis, you will have one of the best players in the league. And maybe at long last, we are seeing the best of Paul Pogba. early for the moment, but this week absolutely deserved 5 points in my ranking system. And finally, top spot, of course, goes to the wonderful, the divisive, the eccentric Bruno Fernandes. He scored a hat-trick at the weekend, the only player to score a hat-trick this weekend. Just generally looked involved in the play, was creating chances as well. It was talismanic in terms of not just the way that he scored goals and affected the game, but the way you could see the way that the Manchester United players were looking up for him, and at every opportunity, they were looking to pass the ball to him, get Bruno Fernandes on the ball. He's really progressed into something that at first, when he started playing really well for Manchester United, I just wasn't sure if he had sort of the whole package, but more and more he's starting to look like absolutely the real deal and the whole package, and I think he's a serious contender for player of the season, and easily the best player of this Premier League week gone by. So guys, that's it for the ranking system this week. Obviously keep an eye on it as we go throughout the season. I'll create some little graphics so we can follow the leaderboard as it changes week in and week out. Let me know who your players would be, your 11, or maybe even just your top couple players, and let me know what you think of my choices as well. So thank you so much for joining me today here, guys, on Football Heritage, and I'll see you in the next video.